How often do you think about the Oscars? About how many Oscar-winning films there are and how many you've seen? Yeah, there's a few famous Oscar-winning films that we've all seen. You know, The Godfather and Lord of the Rings and Titanic, I'm King of the World, all that stuff. But the Oscars have been running since 1927. There are currently over 1,000 films, feature-length films, which have won an Oscar. How many have you seen? I did the numbers for myself. It's not many, and I consider myself quite a movie buff. So here then is the premise of this podcast. Every episode, I and a rotating cast of 2 guests will randomly select one of the 1,000 films that have won an Oscar, watch it, and talk about it, with the only requirement being that one of the 3 people on each episode has to have never seen the movie before we talk about it. That will get difficult with Star Wars. Please note that our coverage of a movie does not constitute an endorsement of it. My least favorite movie of 2016, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, won an Oscar for Best Makeup, while my favorite movie of 2016, The Handmaiden, wasn't even nominated for anything. Please also note that our coverage of a movie is not a blanket endorsement of any or all of the people involved in it. A lot of terrible people have won Oscars. Kevin Spacey won an Oscar 20 years before he was outed as an abuser, and Roman Polanski won one 20 years after. But every film, good, bad, or in many cases mediocre, that has won an Oscar is an important part of film history just for being there. And they all, on some level, deserve a tiny bit of consideration, even if that consideration ends up concluding that it's garbage. And with all of that in mind, I am your host, as always, Ellie McConaughey, and with me today is Sam Marchioni.
I'm not supposed to run!
And Shamila and
If I'm Sense and Sam Sensibility, does that make Ellie sea monsters?
I'm doing something with sea monsters. And we are here today to talk about Sense and Sensibility, the 1995 Ang Lee film that won Best Adapted Screenplay at the 68th Academy Awards. And I knew this but when I rolled it up, but I was sort of like, my brain dropped it out in between rolling it up and actually watching it. I'd forgotten that Emma Thompson actually wrote the screenplay.
Oh, yeah.
I never forget it. She is delightful, and I beg of you, Ellie, splice not her Oscar speech, but part of her Golden Globe speech in here, because the Golden Globe speech is so charming. Everything about this movie is charming. I feel like I can never say charming without it sounding patronizing, but I cannot think of another word for this movie.
It's a good word for it. It's, you know, I'm in today, and There Were No Signs about Ellie. I've always been extremely fond of Jane Austen. Is that a gendered thing? I feel like that's a little gendered. Is that gendered?
I mean, it is gendered, and I can start pulling my feminist criticism seminar from my interdisciplinary graduate certificate in women's studies out of my ass, but...
Well, since I went to an all-girls school, and Jane Austen was like, de rigueur for the curriculum, so I guess you could say it's a little gender.
Okay. And like, this is absolutely, like, I know that people use the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice as their, like, gold standard adaptation, but I was already, like, late in my high school career when that came out, so this was, for most of my early life, the gold standard Jane Austen adaptation. Maybe still is. I haven't rewatched the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice in a while.
I mean, you have me on record about my feelings regarding Keira Knightley and her collaborations with Joe Wright. We had a whole Anna Karenina about it.
We did. Quite a good one, too. I don't know, like, it's... I said this in the chat, and I don't know if I can... that, like, if I can explain it again, but, like, if we accept for a moment that there is such a thing as iPhone face, you know, a face that has seen an iPhone and therefore feels weird in period dramas. It's like the opposite of what Emma Thompson has.
Pianoforte face?
I would, yeah, let's go with that.
That'd be good. Yeah, like, I see her in Love Actually. I'm like, no, stop speaking modern English. You're supposed to be Beatrice. Stop it. Go back to speaking Shakespearean English. Go.
Much ado.
But speaking of which, speaking of Love Actually, yeah, River is definitely screaming about Richard Curtis in the background, but Hugh Grant and Emma Thompson and Alan RIckman were also in that too. So it's kind of weird if you've seen them play opposite roles.
Britain, we have 5 actors.
Britain has always had 20 actors in a room that they let them out in cycles. This is, speaking of Rivers Pod, this is actually, I think, the first, for this podcast at least, 4-way crossover between all 4 pods.
Yeah, because this is technically classified as a rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's stretching the definition of rom-com, even by Rivers standards, but whatever.
I don't recall exactly what Rivers said when I asked them, but it boiled down to Jane Austen is like the progenitor of modern rom-com stories, so Jane Austen adaptations count by default.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And obviously it's on mine, obviously it's on Jazz's, and I assume there's some, I don't know what degree it is, but it's got to be some degree.
Degree 3 because of Oliver Ward Davies. He's Sio Bibble in the prequel trilogy.
I don't know what that is.
The death toll is catastrophic.
Really? Huh. I did not know that.
There are a lot of British people in Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm. Keira Knightley being one of them.
I will give you that. I was actually, you mentioned Hugh Grant is in this, and he plays Edward. And, like, here's my... So I am into men. I don't always act like I am, but I am into men. But that comes with a caveat, like, only occasionally. Zandy aside. And the thing is, up until, like, for most part, I don't get Hugh Grant Dreamboat. I don't understand it. I don't get what straight women are getting out of this guy. But in this movie, I'm like, nope, I got it. I understood it.
Like, he is so endearingly charming in those initial scenes with Eleanor, like him coaxing out Margaret from under the table, and then sword fighting with her. Those parts are adorable, especially since, well, the novel doesn't really give us much on why Eleanor is attracted to Edward, but this builds on it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a couple days ago in your server, we got into a discussion of Sexiest Man Alive, and I said, I want to quote myself exactly, there is, do unspeakable things to me, sexiest man alive, and sit under a weighted blanket stroking my hair while we watch a movie and cuddle, sexiest man alive. And I think Hugh Grant is much, much more the latter category. It's...
Absolutely.
In much shorter terms, it's the difference between daddy and daddy.
I mean, I was going to say that, I have a track record of, not really liking an actor as an actor, but not really getting what people are, hot for them about until I see a specific movie. And I will say, this movie, getting Hugh Grant off this, is better than the one that made me understand Timothée Chalamet, at least.
Thank God we cannot talk about Bones and All on this podcast.
I would love to talk about Bones and All. That's the movie, everyone. That's the movie. I'm not going to lie about it.
I have not seen it, and I am still close to approximate knowledge. I know exactly.
Such a good movie. Genuinely extremely romantic. It is about cannibals. Anyway, this movie is not about cannibals. This movie is about British stiff upper lip royalty. Not royalty, nobility.
Nobility, yeah.
Gentry.
Yeah, gentry, I guess the word, because not technically, no one's
titled. No one's titled. Which
is weird. It's got... This is one of those things that always kind of weirds me out about, one of the things problems that any Jane Austen adaptation that's not updating the time period has to do is that there are all sorts of rules, spoken and unspoken, and stuff going on that you have to make the audience understand, because the characters aren't going to talk about it. They all understand this shit completely, but the audience isn't necessarily going to understand it. And I think that more than anything, this movie does an extremely good job at making the audience understand.
The opening sequence of Mr. Dashwood and his bitch of a wife negotiating him down on how much money he is going to give his father and sisters, his stepmother and sisters. in accordance with his father's will, because his father cannot leave money to the girls. And I'm like, I just got out of watching like all of Downton Abbey, so I kind of already knew this, but it's also helpful to have it explained again.
It makes you understand, their relationship very well. It makes you understand, why they're upset about moving into this cottage. Although I'm sitting there going like, they don't want that cottage, I'll take it. It looks
seriously.
It's a nice house.
Oh, you're in a 3-bedroom and you have 2 live-in servants? Oh, you poor dears.
But also, like, it's a good character beat for Fanny and what's his name?
John.
Just being total shit. God, they suck.
Ugh, yeah. I was ready to, like, yeet him off a cliff without, like, Fanny is so unsympathetic towards the sisters, and I don't know why, but I kept getting Lucille Sharp vibes from Crimson Peak from her. Not in the good way.
Yeah, I mean, I highly doubt she's doing anything with her brothers. But, like, what I'm curious about is I know that Haley Atwell, I believe, played Fanny Dashwood in, like, a BBC one of these. She did... Oh, no, wait, I'm thinking of Mansford Park.
That's Mansford Park, yeah.
But, like... I get them confused because whenever you see a Jane Austen adaptation, they always costume the bitchy female characters in very specific ways.
Those weird little ringlets, like, at the crown of her head, and those all black ones, and she's carrying that little dog. I don't know what kind of dog it was, but it looked traumatized.
I mean, to be clear, pretty much all of that is period accurate.
I did actually want to relay a question from Zandy, who watched it with me last night. Is Alan Rickman's haircut in this movie period accurate?
Not really.
Okay.
It's kind...
His hair just looks like that?
I think Alan Rickman just kind of looks like that, but honestly, Alan Rickman has kind of looked like that since Die Hard.
He has not aged. He hasn't aged since then. He is on par with Keanu Reeves.
R.I.P., sir. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I miss your voice, sir.
Again, similarly, like, Alan Rickman is one of those dudes people got funny over. And I don't mean, like, ha ha ha, they are attracted to this non-typical man. I mean, like, y'all should consult a therapist about... Look up the Snape Wives.
No, we don't invoke that.
The whole point of this is distancing him from that fucking woman.
My point was going to be, we are incidentally not talking... Only he has any connection to that. Emma Thompson, one of the big problems you run into with older British actors is like, okay... So you can be transphobic now? Keeps happening. Emma Thompson did not happen with her. We love Emma Thompson. This podcast is pro Emma Thompson. Official stance.
I love everything about her so much. I love that she was super defensive of Kate Winslet. Like, you are not going to make this young woman lose a pound.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, just iconic. I love Emma Thompson.
Apparently there was also, like, a deleted scene where Eleanor and Edward kissed, and Emma Thompson specifically wrote that because she wanted to snog Hugh Grant, which, good for her.
Good for her. Also
very funny given that she ended up marrying somebody completely different from this production.
Our Willoughby. Mm-hmm. I still find it hilarious.
My point was going to be that, like, I also... Alan Rickman's another guy that I always really liked as an actor, but never really got, like, this is the guy you're losing your mind over. And, like, again, I sort of get it here. He's very intense in this movie. Good casting, especially with his voice.
Yeah, like that tracking shot of him walking into the house, like, upon hearing Marianne singing, and then you get that sustained shot of his face is like, this is how you do Regency hero. Like, I am not immune to Regency hero Alan Rickman.
It's so achingly romantic.
It is a very romantic movie, just kind of overall. And it's also, like, I like that it doesn't always do what you kind of expect of it, given its genre and time period. Like, I have in my notes that bit at the end where Edward comes in and reveals he's not actually married and he wants to propose to Eleanor, and she like totally cracks, like and just freaks out, is so good because partially because I did not see it. Like I haven't seen this movie in like 10 years, so I did not see it coming at all.
Since it, like Eleanor has been like holding it close to her chest, not like doing anything cathartic with, like not like giving anything away, and then it's just that moment of catharsis.
Mm-hmm. She's so good in this. Like Emma Thompson is just so fucking good in this movie. I'm gonna be giving, I don't think I'm gonna be breaking any hearts when I'm very positive about this movie, about a lot of aspects of it, the writing, the acting, the directing. Ang Lee is a guy who hasn't made a movie I like in about 20 years. I haven't seen Lust Caution. I've heard some people really like that. Leave me alone. But when he was on, he was fucking on, and he's firing on all cylinders at this point in his career. This was between the wedding banquet and the ice storm. I lived in the town where the ice storm is set. Incidentally, is that not eligible for this pod? I don't think so. No, alas.
Honestly, I'm happy to be talking about this because you asked me what year I wanted to do, and I picked my birth year, 1995, and God, there were so many ways this could have gone so bad.
The 68th Academy Awards, so to give the audience a tiny bit of a peek behind the scene, every 10 episodes that a guest appears on, they get to name a year, and I roll up two options from that year, and they get to pick the movie. And so Sam picked the 68th Academy Awards, so I'm rolling it up. And before I roll it up, I'm looking like, okay, Braveheart with Mel Gibson in it. Dead Man Walking stars Sean Penn. Oh, The Usual Suspects.
Oh, yeah, all in the Sarlacc pit.
Yes, with also has Kevin Spacey in it. And it's like, oh, this is a lot. This can go so bad. And like we rolled up this, and I don't remember the other one.
I think the other one was Usual Suspects, and I'm like, it's Sense and Sensibility. I'm picking Sense and Sensibility.
Mighty Aphrodite got Best Supporting Actress, directed by Woody Allen. God.
Oh, God.
We could have been talking about Pocahontas, which would have been very uncomfortable.
Ugh.
Pocahontas, I don't know if I'm ever going to roll it up or if I'm going to feel comfortable engaging with it on its own, because I'm not native.
No, but I always had to, because I used to teach, and I also taught social studies, which talked about indigenous history and all that. So I always framed it as the Disney movie is a lie, and this is the real story of Pocahontas, and this is how the myth, the quote unquote myth, is propagated.
I did want to say that this is just one of those things that I don't know how much people actually know, but Irene Bedard, who played Pocahontas, is Inupiaq. She's from Anchorage, same city I am originally from, and it was known for a very long time, and I think it's recently become publicly known that her husband is part of the reason why her career kind of cratered, which is an absolute shame. She's a great actress. I have a copy of Smoke Signals on VHS that was signed by her, and she deserves a lot more. She deserves the world. She has a cameo in How to Blow Up a Pipeline from a couple of years ago, which you should see. It's really fucking good. Go see How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Hi, Irene. When you met me, I was a guy, so I hope you're doing well.
So, we dodged a lot of fucking bullets.
We dodged a ton of bullets, yeah.
We Matrixed this shit.
Honestly, if I'd rolled like Braveheart, it might have just been like, oh, look, it's actually Apollo 13, a movie I'd much rather fucking talk about. Because, man, I really don't know if I'm ever going to want to talk about Braveheart. Fucking Mel Gibson, man. We're not talking about Mel Gibson. We're talking about a movie directed by Ang Lee, who may not make movies that I like anymore, but man, when he made some great fucking movies when he was on.
He wasn't nominated for this, which is baffling.
Mm-hmm. And apparently, I remember there was controversy about him directing Sense and Sensibility in the first place because, one, English was not his third language, and apparently there was tension with him and Hugh Grant and Emma Thompson during the early days of filming because they were trying to tell him how to shoot scenes, and he initially thought they were undermining his authority. So, I mean, kudos though to him for getting this out in because it is well like Ellie said, movies are a miracle. This one's a little bit more of a miracle, especially when you're a foreign director directing something that's not in your first language.
This was actually, I think, his. I don't know. Haven't seen Pushing Hands, but I think, yeah. Okay, so I think this was basically his first movie that didn't have at least a large chunk of the cast be East Asian. You know, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, and The Wedding Banquet. I've seen. They're both largely about Asian cast. Pushing Hands is a martial arts movie, I believe.
Yeah.
So like this was a big shift in his career, and you know I think he does a great job with it. There are several shots that, I usually measure how good directing is by how often I mention, man, I just really like that shot in my notes, and I do it like 5 times in these my notes. Like the shot of Eleanor left standing on the landing after every other member of her family is retreated to their rooms is just like such a good example of her emotional state at that moment.
Yeah, eldest daughter syndrome is so present here.
Oh god, like, I'm surprised we're not getting more of a Sense and Sensibility revival, because like, we're in a recession. We've got a ton of burnt out millennials, especially eldest children who are like,
Well, this is like
ah.
I would say this is like the idealized version of Sense and Sensibility, and like not a lot of people try to do adaptations because this is setting it as a benchmark. It is a big hurdle to get over. So that's why there's only the miniseries, and from I think it was 2024, they did a version where the Dashwoods were
Oh
black.
god, the Hallmark one. I really wanted to like the Hallmark one, but the costuming in the Hallmark one is so fucking ugly. It hurts. And it's also like, it's Hallmark, and because Hallmark is for moms, especially like Midwestern Christian moms, they couldn't really go into like the level of detail that an Austen adaptation deserves when you're talking about, ruin and scandal and whatnot.
I would have loved to see it on a non Hallmark production though. Like I don't. I'm not sure if Emma Asante would direct another period piece. Like I know she did Belle.
Well, Nia DaCosta's doing a Hedda Gabler remake with Tessa Thompson.
Oh, she'd be good.
I'd be down for seeing her do something like this.
Hmm.
I think the issue you kind of run into with Jane Austen adaptations is there is a prevailing cultural idea which is not accurate, people, that like they are all the same story. They are not. Shut up. Emma is not the same as Pride and Prejudice. Shut up.
Not remotely.
And so like people sort of like they do a new Jane Austen classic. There are two kinds of Jane Austen adaptations. There's updated for the modern day, and there's Jane Austen classic. And updated for the modern day is basically just a rom com.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't remember which one it was. It was I think Bridget Jones' Diary.
Oh yeah. And Hugh Grant was in that one too. Also, if I had a nickel every time Gemma Jones played the heroine's mother in a Jane Austen adaptation, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but given the pool of 10 British actors, it makes sense that it happened twice.
Yeah, they have 25 actors, Shamila, and most of them are Doctor Who at any given time. They need to share.
If they're not in Doctor Who, then they're in period dramas. Case in point, Imelda Staunton. God, I love Imelda Staunton in this. Shame about her politics.
Ugh.
Speaking of like 25 British actors, like did they just not did the country of England just not produce any other movies while this movie was shooting? Because holy shit, this cast is stacked.
They have
Hugh Laurie is in this movie, and he doesn't even really do much. He just is there.
He's just the snarky put upon husband.
He is in that mode in this movie where, like, I don't know how to explain it except for when he gets really serious after Marianne gets sick, except for that one chunk of the movie, every line read he has makes me laugh. It's funny. Like, I'm not going to apologize for that take. It's a funny movie. It is funny both on purpose and occasionally by accident.
That scene with the vibrator in my bosom. It still cracks me up.
Margaret in particular is very funny.
It's so funny. I love Margaret so much.
It's like a full-on brawl and then literally throwing Lucy Steele out of the house.
But like it was great to find out that Emily Francois, the little girl playing Margaret, this was her first acting job.
She's so good in this. She's so believable as Margaret. They gave Margaret so much more to do here because she was kind of like a flat character in the book. She didn't really have much to do, but here she wants to travel, she wants to be a pirate captain, she wants to learn how to sword fight, and she says, "I can't run.
I'm not supposed to run." I think that was Sam's jokey sign, which is such a good line read. Like, there are a handful of moments, like, when I was asking for sign-ups, I was like, I have definitely seen this movie, and like I couldn't recite lines from it, but there were certain moments that are absolutely like burned into my brain because I think it was one of my mom's favorite movies, and one of the moments is I'm not supposed to run. And the moment where like I like how they introduce all of the sisters in the first like scene they're in, just sort of like very good, very quick summaries of their personalities. Eleanor is trying to hold stuff together. Marianne is being petulant in a sort of restrained kind of way.
Like playing funeral dirges when she's asked to change the music."
And Margaret is hiding in the treehouse, and I like how she just like pulls the ladder back up when Eleanor tries to reason with her.
The entire scene of them going over the atlas of like, surely the Nile is in South America. No, I think it's in Belgium.
Again, like Shami said it earlier, like it gives us an understanding of why Eleanor is into this guy, because like he is emotionally intelligent, and he both gets how to coax Margaret out and is a nice enough guy to realize I shouldn't do this in front of my sister. My sister fucking sucks.
I do want to make a retraction. I think maybe I don't think Imelda Staunton actually is siding with J.K. Rowling on anything, and if she's not, I apologize. Like, she seems fun for the most part, and I'd like her to not be a transphobe.
That would be nice.
So I'm gonna hold to the belief that she isn't.
But yeah, Eleanor and Edward, they're kind of just like, they're both such older siblings in a way that only the both of them can get in that moment. And we do have that scene where they're riding horses and Edward is talking about like, well, I don't really want to do what my mother and sister want me to do. I don't want to like be decorated and distinguished and important. I just want a quiet life in the countryside and do sermons. And Eleanor, well, kind of rightfully points out, like, he has the means to do so, but she doesn't.
Mm-hmm. As part of that retraction, I went and Googled it, by the way, and she did in fact sign the pro-trans rights letter.
Okay, good.
Oh, good.
So we officially retract all comments about Imelda Staunton. We're sorry, and Imelda, if you're listening to this, why? But also, hi.
We think you're cool.
We think you're cool.
You are a very welcome addition to any British period drama.
She is, I mean, like, there are several actors like that in this movie, but she is one of those actors who, when they show up in a period drama, I am literally like, hey! It's the Willem Dafoe emotion, like, hey, you're here, hi!
Yay!
Unfortunately, I feel like any options she would have had to get a lead role are nowadays being taken by Olivia Colman.
Yeah, but she does have a good stage career going as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny watching her play off of Hugh Laurie.
Yes.
Because she's the very silly, the Mrs. Bennet sort of type, where there are so many babbling elder women in this movie, and it's so fun.
Like Mrs. Jennings, she's like on par with Bessie Thwaites from Gaslight.
Mm-hmm. She's a lot of fun. She was also apparently in one of the Harry Potter movies. Jesus.
Ugh.
Where did you fucking... Okay.
Britton, why do you have 5 actors?
Okay, I'm looking at this woman and I saw, like, known for, on her Wikipedia page, she was the portrait of the fat lady in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That doesn't really count.
So they didn't even bring her back for the other one.
Yeah, and she died in 08. That's a shame.
R.I.P. Elizabeth Spriggs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, god damn it! Sir John Middleton was in there too. God, why? England, why? I just wanted to have a nice time enjoying all these fun British people, and now I have to be reminded of Turf Island.
I think that, like, so one of the central problems I run into right now in particular is that, like, while both England and England and America are still linked at the knees, you know, we both went through our eras of shit ass garbage right wing leaders followed by milk toast garbage neoliberal hacks. That would be Reagan and Clinton, followed and Thatcher and I think Blair, fuck Tony Blair, respectively. We're both experiencing kind of return to right wing sentiment. And one of the things that makes Britain so incredibly frustrating is, like, I'm not going to say that the Democratic Party on the whole is particularly good on trans rights. They're not. They tend to be begrudging, but they do support them begrudgingly. This is not the case for Labour in the UK. Like, trans people in the UK are getting it coming and going. And that leads to this sort of issue where, like, I feel like anytime I'm watching anything British, there's just like this itch in the back of my brain that, like, man, why do you gotta fucking be doing that, Britain? And it's bad because, like, I don't want to blame an entire nation because their politicians are shit garbage. I wouldn't want any other country in the world judging America's art based on.
Yeah, like, we are very aware that we are in the most glass of houses.
The glassiest of houses. But I can't help but throw those rocks. It's so fun to throw rocks.
Like, the one joy Americans have is being able to dunk on the British.
Which is a little. This isn't quite the same thing, but it is a little bit like how I can dunk on New Jersey because New Jersey are our boys. New Jersey, if you're listening, again, why the state of New Jersey? But also, don't let the rest of the country talk shit about you. Only Connecticut can do that. Not even New York.
Excuse me.
And Massachusetts can.
The whole of New England gets to be in on it, because you're all just satellites of Massachusetts.
Okay, except New York. New York doesn't get to do it.
New York isn't part of New England.
New York is. Yeah, we're not doing New England discourse.
I am like confused Canadian over here, so none of this makes sense to me.
God, I wish that were me.
Okay, so imagine that, like, Newfoundland is fighting with Prince Edward Island right now.
We're not fighting. You know, it's like you know, Connecticut and Massachusetts and New Jersey. We're all neighbors. We're all next to each other. We have similar cultures. We have similar outlooks.
You just like dunking on each other, basically.
Right. We all give each other shit. I will give New Jersey shit all day, every day. But then the moment fucking Ohio is, like, making fun of New Jersey, I'm like, what the fuck you say about my boys? That's where you gotta be. That's my boys. Then that's America's relationship to England. Like, we might give them shit, but they are. I mean, we rebelled to go the next room over.
Which is also, like, getting back to Sense and Sensibility, that's kind of like the vibe that the Dashwoods very quickly adapt around Mr. Willoughby.
Mm-hmm.
Which, God.
Oh, like,
Greg Wise in this movie, like,
he is so affable and charming. I like the scenes at the picnic where he's, like, twirling Marianne around and doing impressions of Mrs. Jennings. Oh.
And Sir Middleton. Sir John.
Or Sir John. I always forget what he's doing, but he is just so funny. And then that's what makes it all the more tragic when we find out his later actions.
How do I put this? So I like this adaptation because I feel like Mr. Willoughby is a character who's extremely easy to fuck up.
Like, you could easily have made him a Wickham. Like, I know they specifically aged up Eliza from 15 to 20. No, Beth, the daughter.
Marianne?
The foster daughter.
No, Colonel Brandon's
foster daughter, the ward.
who doesn't show up at all.
Miss not appearing in this film.
So, like, I think that more earlier than that, that is the rug pull moment on him. But I think that, like, it is very easy, given the story, to just sort of make him unilaterally unlikable. And, like, therefore, you don't, you have to kind of want, you have to kind of at least understand what Marianne sees in this guy, or else you're just sitting there going, Marianne, he's not the love of your life. Hit him with your carriage.
Rather than going for increasingly improper rides in the carriage.
Right. And, like, so I think this movie does manage to split that difference where you can see the aspect of him that makes him kind of a shitty dude. But I do think you just on some level get why Marianne is infatuated with him.
Him and her reciting Shakespeare sonnets to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the moment where it started to, they get each other on this level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they understand like their romantic passions and such. And
it is like sad because Brandon has that devastating thing of like he would have proposed to her.
Mm-hmm.
He was genuine in his affections.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think. There's that really. Kate Winslet is not called upon to do as much as Emma Thompson in this movie. But that scene where she's like having a freak out because he told her like, could you stop sending me letters? She's really good in that scene, and I think the like absolutely killer line is like, it was always implied but never said that he loved me. And so like that makes it very easy to assume that he was just toying around with her the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that moment where like, and that's what I think makes the Colonel such a good dude in general. Maybe Mr. Willoughby can recite Sonnet 116 with her, but like he's living it. He's love has not altered.
Which it is really funny because Shakespeare nerd activated for a sec. Sonnet 116, let me not to the marriage of true minds, blah 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 impediment. It's an anti-marriage sonnet. It's part of the fair youth cycle where Shakespeare switched from, hey, you should get married and have a child to continue your line and your beauty and such, to like, no, you don't need to get married, boo, because my poetry is gonna make you beautiful for evers and evers.
Oh, then it's literally the meaning of not understanding what you're really saying.
Yeah. Emma Thompson knows what's up.
Emma Thompson does know what's up. I mean, I'm trying to. 116 isn't the one that's about a guy, is it?
No, it is. It's part of the fair youth cycle.
Okay, so I was right. I was like, yes, it is. So I was like, I mean, like, my original joke was going to be to bring us back around was that like America rebelled about as far as Austin Dickinson did, moving next door, so that because his wife insisted for some reason. But honestly, I don't think that applies to any of the sisters here, except maybe Margaret.
Maybe Margaret will grow up to be Emily Dickinson.
I'm just interested in her actually running off to be a pirate captain.
Yes.
Live your best Grace O'Malley life.
Yes.
I do like Grania O'Malley, yes.
Mm-hmm. Be like Anne Bonny and Mary Read. Oh, she would love them.
She would, although they didn't end super great as I recall. But, I don't think pirates generally did.
Nah, they hardly ever do.
Yeah.
This movie ends pretty good, though. We're back on topic. We're not so far off topic. You're lucky you avoided a 45-minute long Emily Dickinson tangent. What else? What else did I want to chat about?
For Marion and Brandon, I know that their endgame here and like they do such a good job of like building that relationship with Brandon reading poetry to Marianne while she's like on her sick bed, but maybe I'm just seeing this through modern sensibilities, but Brandon is still literally old enough to be Marianne's father. Then there's also the fact that Brandon might be attracted to her because he resembles his lost love, whom she knew that they were kids. There's a little bit of yeesh with that.
What are you talking about? He's only Alan Rickman is only 30 years older than Kate Winslet. Jesus Christ.
He was 50 when he did this.
Seriously, the man's genetics heard, oh, we're going to be in movies now? This is the face I will have for the rest of my life.
He did luck out. And he looked on that face and that voice.
Oh, that voice.
I mean, like that. Those are. I hesitate to make this excuse because like it's an excuse that movies have been using for it's essentially the joke that 30 Rock makes where like you know where Jenna plays a woman dying of old age at 39. It's a real problem where a woman is always being paired with a man uh, 25 years her senior on screen. I don't know if I necessarily want to lay that at the feet of this movie. I don't remember the exact age gap in the book.
She's 16, he's in his 30s. That's what I remember.
Okay.
But even so, I don't really want to lay this at the movie's feet because apparently Kate Winslet was not the first choice for Marianne.
She wasn't. She came in to play to read for Lucy, and she pretended she pretended that she misread the situation and that she was going to be reading for Marianne, and that's how she got the role.
Yeah, so in that respect, I'm sure that they weren't like deliberately aiming because they also took the time to age up Eleanor from 19 to 27 so that Emma Thompson could play her.
Because Emma was worried that she was too old to play her.
Yeah. And in that respect, like it's contradictory to the ageism of it all.
But I think I kind of see like them aging up Eleanor to 27. I think that's supposed to like project to modern audiences. This is like their idea of spinsterhood is not at 19. It's at much older than that. So that's supposed to convey that to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that still having a 19-year-old Eleanor like kind of plays into the absurdity of spinsterhood, but like, we had a couple of years ago Bridgerton being like, "Oh no, Kate Sharma is 26 and she's a spinster. How horrible for her."
I mean, this is what I was saying earlier. Like, there are a lot of spoken and unspoken rules that the movie kind of has to communicate. I think it does an extremely good job. I particularly like that moment at the party where Marianne just shouts at Mr. Willoughby, and they do a very good job selling like, oh, she has committed a serious social faux pas here. But on the other hand, like, I mean, like, I get that you don't want to alter it that much, but like, that is one of the many, 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 many things about this era of history that was just like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Austen novels have this problem of they do make everything seem very cottagecore and very interesting because we're kind of far removed from the peril of if my father dies, I, a female child, shall be completely dependent on my fourth cousin 3 times removed.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, well, even with the father trying begging his son to do it, I don't know if he's as unreliable as Mr. Bennet, but he did not plan anything else for his daughters.
So, like, I think that one of the problems we run into with this era and with people finding this era romantic in particular, because I do think that, like, Jane Austen has become a lot of people's ideas of romance in the modern era. Would we say that's fair?
I mean, I think there's a difference between Jane Austen is romanticized and Jane Austen is held as romantic, and they're not disconnected. They aren't.
It's just a lot of people forget like how much of commentary it is on society, especially with because I remember that Sense and Sensibility was based on like after Jane Austen's father died, her mother and her sister and her they were both heavily dependent on Jane's brothers for financial support. And while it was a much better case of that because well they the brothers were more supportive of Jane and her sister than John is with the Dashwood sisters. There is still those heavy there were still those heavy periods of like financial difficulty. And I think that kind of influenced the writing of this.
I was actually just going to say that like one of the problems we're sort of running into as a society and as cultural / historical critics is like, we see this era as kind of romantic, and I am not immune to that. I just had a Tumblr post that I posted absent basically any context that, like, man, it is an absolute shame that this era of history was so homophobic, because this shit, this era, this is set up for some peak sapphism. You understand me? Women with rapiers. You understand my vision? But instead we were just homophobic. And like, we are, most people, I know we are not most people, don't get on my neck. Most people haven't actually read Jane Austen. Most people just see adaptations. So we're essentially making our main view of this era a fictionalized adaptation of something that was already a fictionalized adaptation.
Yeah, adaptations of adaptations are not always accurate. So a lot of stuff often has to be excised for to make lateral moves, because if you include everything in a Jane Austen novel, chances are it's not going to be as watchable.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna end up one of those weird overlong British miniseries that no one actually watches. I presume all of us have watched it.
And presumably the 2008 Sense and Sensibility. I remember that one was a miniseries.
Yeah, and that one was one where they tried very, very hard to make it sexy. And I think that's kind of missing the greater point, because a lot of the times now we treat sexual promiscuity or sexual permissiveness rather, as the ultimate form of liberation, because, we live in such a puritanical society here in the Western dominated world. But part of what made Jane Austen transgressive in the first place was more that her female characters were seeking agency through self-expression and determining their own autonomy. Like, it kind of brings to mind Amy's little speech from the 2019 Little Women about, don't tell me marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is. Maybe not for you, but it certainly is for me. And like, Pride and Prejudice especially was transgressive because it was about finding a partner not solely based on financial stability, because, if that had been the case, Lizzie would have married Mr. Collins, but for mutual respect.
Mm-hmm. Mutual respect and affection, if they were lucky enough.
Right. And that's sort of what I was getting at. Like, we are taking, people take what were at the time transgressive fantasies, aspirational fantasies, but transgressive for the time, and considering them to be representative of anything that, of not only the society in specific, but like at large, the world. And maybe this isn't a totally a fair way to say it, but I feel like this era of history was built much more for the Fannies of the world than for the Eleanors.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ugh.
Fuck Fanny Dashwood. All my homies hate Fanny Dashwood.
We all hate Fanny Dashwood in this house.
Although it's extremely funny that, like, she basically sabotages Edward's engagement to Miss Steele, and then her other brother marries her off screen.
Yeah, she can't win. It's not like it's not worth having Lucy Steele for an in-law.
How the fuck did Lucy manage to swing Robert?
Have you seen Robert? He sucks.
Yep.
No, I mean, like, did Robert not get disinherited?
No!
I think at that point it was just like, well, it's him or it's nothing.
Because there was only like 2 brothers. They can't disinherit the last remaining brother. Then there's no one to inherit.
It would be extremely funny. Like, I'm giving my money to the Church of England because I'm pissy that all my kids kept trying to marry this Miss Steele.
That would be ballsy to do, but unfortunately they have to keep the money in the family.
Yep. So go forth, Lucy Steele and Robert Ferrars. Have very ugly children, I guess.
I was a huge fan. Okay, first off, with regards to that one, I was an extremely big fan of the, like, obviously where I remembered the twist, but like of the servant who does the firewood, Thomas, I think his name is.
Yep.
Him speaking what is clearly written very carefully to not give away what actually happened.
Mrs. Ferrars,
but not which Ferrars.
But second, for another example of why Emma Thompson is so good in this movie, she does such good just dying on the inside after Steele tells her that she's engaged to Edward. Just like, hello, darkness. Wow. The entire time. She looks so miserable.
Yeah, she's like, oh.
Marianne, take out the pianoforte and start playing Sound of Silence. Or, you know what? All around me are familiar faces.
And, like, she was so close to collapsing in some of those scenes. Like, she literally, like, has to sit down because she literally cannot run away from this anymore because Lucy keeps following after her.
She lost to Susan Sarandon in Dead Man Walking this year. I presume because Susan Sarandon had been nominated basically every year before that.
Did Emma technically win for, like, Howard's End the year before?
She did win. She's, like, one of the only people to have an Oscar for both acting and for screenwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I think it's the screenwriting Oscar that she keeps in her bathroom so that anybody who goes in there can have their own Oscar moment.
Aww.
Which is just amazing. Love that for her.
I choose to believe that Susan Sarandon actually won for The Hunger, because that would be a much better movie to win
Ellie?
Win an Oscar for.
Ellie?
Yeah?
Are you saying that because it's actually true or because you're a useless lesbian?
Both things can be true. Look, The Hunger is really good.
Useless lesbian.
Shut up.
No.
Useless lesbian who likes vampires.
Opening another tab is my plan for a Carmilla tattoo, so you know what? I can't stop saying true things like they're insults.
You're the one who's taking them as insults. I'm just stating it as fact.
It is a fact. God, The Hunger is really good, though. Leave me alone.
No.
You're on my podcast. Anyway, what else? What did this movie beat at the Oscars that year? Let's look at that.
For adapted screenplay, the options were Apollo 13, Babe, Leaving Las Vegas, and Il Postino, or The Postman.
I mean,
I have not heard that last one.
Hey, look, Joss Whedon's Oscar nominations over there.
Ugh.
He didn't win.
Okay.
He apparently, to be clear, he also barely wrote anything that's actually in Toy Story, to be clear.
But it was enough to get him a credit, and for that, he gets to claim himself as Academy Award nominee John Swabin.
There are 7 credited writers for Toy Story, to be clear. That's such a weird collection of nominees. I haven't seen Babe, but it's also nominated for Best Director and Best Picture. So, I don't know. Apparently, I got to see this fucking thing.
Well, you'll get to see it because it won visual effects.
No, isn't Babe the one with the pig?
Yeah.
Yeah, the pig who herds sheep, and it won Best Visual Effects, where the only other competition in its category was Apollo 13.
What?
Yeah, they used to do that for some of the technicals, where it's just like, oh, they still do it sometimes. Yeah, there's 2 nominees for makeup this year. Go away.
I'm sorry, nobody's doing anything interesting, so we're gonna give it to blue paint splashed on Mel Gibson's face. We're done.
I mean, I'm looking at the Best Picture winners. Sense and Sensibility would have been a better... Honestly, I haven't seen Babe or Il Postino, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. Any of those would have been better than Braveheart. Braveheart?
Yep.
Hot take, even outside of Mel Gibson's whole...
We're not bringing that up.
Ellie, we don't have time for me to go on a tirade of everything historically wrong with Braveheart.
We're not doing historically wrong. We're not doing everything wrong with Mel Gibson as a human. We are just viewing Braveheart as a movie. Braveheart fucking sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you saw it when you were in high school history class and it was the one day where you actually got to watch a movie. I'm sorry. Braveheart fucking sucks.
At least I dodged a bullet there because I've never seen it.
Me either.
I'm going to go ahead and say confidently that any of those would have been better Best Picture winners, including Babe. Hey, look, there's my boy George Miller as one of the producers.
Yep.
Witnessed. Yeah, all of those Best Adapted Screenplay nominees are interesting to me. Apollo 13 is a movie that it's aged kind of oddly, and I want to see it again just because I got to give it a few years. I feel like Ron Howard has a lot to answer for right now. Talk to me when the man he did a adaptation of his book for to give him his 16th minute isn't fucking vice president anymore.
Yeah.
Then I will revisit Ron Howard movies. And I actually don't like Leaving Las Vegas very much, which is, I know, is extremely odd for famed Nicolas Cage head Ellie McConaughey. I don't think that's a very good performance by him. I think it's a little trite.
I mean, I then ask who you would have given it to, because the only other one of these performances I've actually seen is Richard Dreyfuss in Mr. Holland's Opus, and that one also has a subplot about an older man being weird with the teenage girl.
Oh.
Let me look at movies from '95. What of the movies nominated, or what movies from 1995?
Of the 5 nominees, like if it had to go to one of these 5 guys.
Fuck me. Probably Anthony Hopkins. That's not a very good, I haven't seen Mr. Holland's Opus. Sean Penn's very good in Dead Man Walking. Sean Penn, notable for being a piece of shit who is unfortunately still an extremely good actor, and I haven't seen The Postman. The film tells a fictional story of the real-life Chilean poet Pablo Neruda forms a friendship with a simple postman who learns to love poetry. Interesting. We love the Italians making weird ass movies, so maybe that one's good.
Certainly sounds navel-gazy enough.
Mm-hmm. Though, yeah, if it's Italian, I fully expect it to be whitewashed because Pablo Neruda.
Well, let's look at this cast. No, not posthumous nomination. Let's see. He is played by a French film actor. Whoa, boy. You know what? Maybe we should just quietly extract Sense and Sensibility from these Oscars and just throw the rest away.
Yeah.
Throw the rest away.
No, come on, we can keep Babe. Let us keep Babe.
Okay, we'll keep that Babe.
We'll keep Babe. I will hold off on any judgments on Restoration. Robert Downey Jr. as a 17th century medical student exploited by King Charles II. Okay.
It has lovely wigs.
Lovely wigs. Okay. You know what? We will tentatively take that and possibly the best foreign language, something from the Netherlands, feminist fairy tale. Okay. Those can stay. We're just throwing the rest of the Oscars away. 68th Academy Awards out the window. You Are Salted Earth.
There was no Best Picture winner in the 68th Academy Awards.
No Best Picture winner. Certainly no Best Supporting Actor winner.
We just excise that.
I make that joke, but let's talk about Kevin Spacey someday. Why do I do this podcast, Sam?
Fuck if I know, but this was your idea.
Because every Oscar-winning movie deserves some room for discussion, even if it turns out to be total shit.
You know what? Yeah, they're all worth interest. They're all interesting films, and this is an example of a really good Oscar-winning film. I'm very glad I got to revisit this. Thank you, Emma Thompson and Ang Lee. Can't wait till I roll up Brokeback Mountain.
I may come back here when you do Howard's End. Oh, speaking of Howard's End, one thing I want to note that's really cute is that when she won her Oscar for screenplay, she got it from her Howard's End co-star. Anthony Hopkins presented that award.
Aww.
We know basically for a fact after the stuff that happened with speaking of Anthony Hopkins with his most recent Oscar win.
Buddy. It's not your fault, Anthony. We hold no ill will towards you.
We blame the Academy for this.
I mean, that's how we know that they're not rigged. Because if they were rigged, it would not have gone down like that. Or they'd have figured out a way to not have Will Smith win in the 20 minutes between the slap and him getting up there. God, that was an uncomfortable fucking speech to watch. So we know that they're not rigged. But every so often they kind of they get a vibe of what's about to win, and they're like, you know what, we can take a swing on this, try to make our
try to maximize our SEO.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way for it. Try to make that's a pretty good way. Pretty thought. Try to make it, make an Oscar moment. Get Anthony Hopkins to give Emma Thompson her Oscar. That kind of shit. And when it whiffs, that stuff's really funny. See what I was talking about just a minute ago, but that's sweet. That's sweet. Emma Thompson deserves the world. I'm very glad she won for this, and I'm very glad you rolled this movie up for me, Sam.
I had fun. Like I said, this was charming. This was absolutely charming, and I enjoyed it deeply.
I feel like a lot of good Jane Austen adaptations, especially when they set in modern day, end up kind of like sarcastic about it. You know, they'll throw a "it is a truth universally known" somewhere in the dialogue or something, and
Acknowledged.
acknowledged, yeah, a truth universally acknowledged somewhere in the dialogue or something shit like that, and like
It's very tongue in cheek when they do that.
yeah, and like I'm not saying that that's without value, but it does get. I'm ready for stuff to be sincere again, and this is a very sincere adaptation. It takes its characters sincerely, even if it is very funny sometimes, which it is. Anyone else have any final thoughts they want to share?
Maybe this is just a me thing, but I don't know. By the end of this, I kind of soured on like the relationship between Eleanor and Edward.
Oh,
They does have such a good start. They had all those cute bonding moments, but then I got angry at a lot of Edward's choices and how Eleanor got put through the ringer with this. I mean, Marianne wasn't completely wrong when she said there was something wanting. I don't know if I'm just being judgy about him, but
I mean, I think it's just the fault of the book that he's narratively written so that he doesn't come back until the end, and so therefore we don't have time to build up that thing which we as audiences crave, which is chemistry.
mm-hmm.
he just comes off as very irresponsible to me. Like if he was already engaged, then why did he not keep his distance from Eleanor in the first place?
Well, I mean, I think it's something where, like, we needed scenes to give Edward's perspective, but to do so would be to defeat the purpose of Jane Austen, wherein it's one of the few settings where the men are the satellite love interests.
Uh-huh. And also, you could have saved Eleanor a lot of grief if you just told Eleanor that you were already engaged instead of like dithering about like.
Well, he does say, when he comes back, he does say, I didn't think you were into me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he says it much more poetically and Regency-ish, but he basically says that.
Mm-hmm. But there is like a lot of honor before reason in his way of doing things, and well, just because it's the honorable thing to do doesn't make it the right thing to do. I feel like he makes that mistake a lot.
I mean, I think that this might just be my interpretation of it, but Hugh Grant in the scene at the stables where he goes to talk to Eleanor and then Fanny interrupts does what I feel is a very credible like trying to get something out and losing his nerve there. So I assume that's what he was trying to tell her.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's not worth having Lucy steal for a sister-in-law or Fanny twice over for that matter. Like Lucy and Fanny ruin everything.
I mean, she doesn't have to talk to them ever again. Like, we don't see Lucy at the wedding. I mean, we do see Fanny there, which, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a rub it in Fanny's nose thing, and they're never going to see her again after this. But if they didn't invite her, it would have been a scandal.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the movie, skipping over the fact that I'm watching this and Emma Thompson's in this, I'm looking at this big blowout wedding ending. I'm like, so you watched Much Ado About Nothing, huh, Ang? You really like that ending, huh? That's not a complaint. That movie rocks.
Or maybe I just felt like Edward hadn't like earned Eleanor's forgiveness by that point because I don't know. We just cut from the proposal scene to the wedding, so.
Actually, I don't think that Eleanor and Edward were married at that point. I think it was Marianne's wedding and just Marianne's wedding, because we don't see Eleanor and Edward getting into the carriage or anything. Edward's not throwing the coins.
Yeah, and it's ambiguous. I did like the brief cut to Mr. Willoughby sitting on his horse, dejected, looking at the church.
You made your choice, now lie in the pit.
I thought for sure his horse was going to take a shit.
Both of you quite good on that one.
Just the way that tail was wrapped, it's like, okay, when I see a horse's tail go up like that, usually something's about to come out.
So literally horseshit.
Which is what he deserves.
It is what he deserves. I did really, on my last note on Mr. Willoughby, I did really get amused by Marianne trying to do the dejectedly wandering the moors vibe in the middle of the English countryside.
Oh god! And like that seeing, and then she's seeing the house and repeating the lines that Willoughby recited to her back to there. I mean, it's good mirroring, but also maybe I couldn't take it as seriously.
I mean, if it weren't for the fact that she nearly dies from it, I don't think you're supposed to take it super seriously.
No, because it was played for drama. Because I know in the original book that she literally was just wandering about without purpose, but here she intentionally goes up to see Willoughby's house. So it's very much played for drama here.
And I'm guessing what she got was pneumonia.
Yeah.
They just say an infectious fever, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, it's pneumonia.
I just kind of suspect like we're supposed to read her. It's a serious moment because she nearly dies from it, but it is. I think we're supposed to also understand that she's being over dramatic.
I mean, this is the era when dying of sad was not something that was memed.
And to be fair, if Padme lived in Victorian England, we would be less...
Regency! There's about 60 years before we're in the Victorian period.
Okay. If Padme lived in pre-modern England, we would be a little less judgy about her dying in childbirth, because, it just fucking happened. Still fucking happens all the time, but it's a little less believable in, well, I guess it is a long time ago. Maybe it is Regency Star Wars.
Ellie, don't make me get out my tinfoil hat. Don't make me get out the conspiracy board.
Well, we do call it a space opera for a reason.
Okay, before we get off on Star Wars, Sam, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I am the host of 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. It is available wherever pods are cast, and you can also find me on my social media, Demisem. That's DEMISEMME.
See, if Sam wants to talk Star Wars, they can do it. Shemmy.
You can find me on the Online Muse on Tumblr. I make all the graphics for our sibling podcast, 6 Degrees of Star Wars, and A Neat Retelling. If you like my work and want to commission me, come hit me up.
As always, you can find me, Ellie, on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos with dashes between the words. You can find me on Blue Sky, Medium, and Letterboxd at LSR42. And you can find this podcast on Blue Sky at Biggest Night Pod. We are available on both Spotify and YouTube. And if you follow us on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe, maybe like and comment on the videos so that you can tell me which parts you like and which parts you don't. And thank you to both Sam and Shammy for coming out tonight. I'm glad we got to talk about a good movie this time. I feel like half the time I'm dragging Sam in here. She's really mad at me.
This is her vindication.
But you know what? Speaking of good movies, please join us next time when we jump back to 1949 to talk about Carol Reed's The Third Man. Hope to see you there.